Hello, adventurer. It's good to see you. You have made it to the morning grind.
Welcome, welcome.
It's the live stream at the beginning of the Geekverse, where we talk about all types of topics in geekdom, gaming, and fantasy, with an emphasis on being constructive and creating the things that we want to exist in the world.
It's all on the grind, Sizemore. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
That's exactly right. There are a lot of adventures to be had today. Dungeons to explore and monsters to slay, and who knows what a random encounter might send our way. That's why we have to prepare, so settle in now for the morning grind with your favorite beverage in hand.
Tea? Or maybe something a little stronger. I've got a few bottles of the old Wynyard left.
Whatever you want. Pull up a chair.
Dude.
If you're feeling fancy, how about a cappuccino? Or a frappuccino? Or how about an espresso?
Just tea, thank you.
Sounds good to me, Gandalf. Whatever you want. I'm just glad you're here.
Everyone is welcome. You can just watch if you want. You don't have to worship anything you don't want to worship.
Thank you, Mike. But be forewarned.
Sometimes we get really strange characters around here.
Wait, what's that you say? Why can't you come and be a part of the stream?
My wife would disown me.
Oh no, I bet she'll be fine with it. Come on in.
Am I scared for my safety? No.
What are we supposed to do?
Everybody do the secret handshake.
Secret cultist handshake.
Oh, now do wizards who love each other.
It's my friend is a science.
I still don't have gifts, but it's fine.
It's all on the grind, son. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
Dude, this would be a sick place to bring the band.
Indeed it would be, Dave. It really would. I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome, glad to have you here. Oh look, here's someone new.
Is this the cultist meetup?
Yes it is.
Come to hang out? Please accept me. I have nothing else.
Okay, we accept you. Everyone's welcome here.
Brought some snacks.
Well, that makes things even better.
You want some coffee? I don't drink coffee. You sure? It's cultist coffee. What makes it cultist coffee? I'm a cultist and I'm drinking it. Oh. Then I'll have some.
What exactly is going on here?
I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. It's so great to have you. Oh, and look, here comes another stranger.
Can we help you?
Yes, fellow cultists. I could really use some food.
Oh yeah? Welcome. We have donuts.
Oh, it's me. I'm glad I'm here. I'm sure you have a few questions for me, though.
What's your name? Who do you work for? What god do you worship?
Great questions, Rob.
I'm Steve King, and I worship Nyarlathotep.
No, not really. I'm just Heath, and I won't be worshiping anything this morning. But I will be your host. Welcome to the office. We're going to have a great time. I've got my coffee ready, because now it's time for the morning grind.
If you could become a fish, that would be amazing. Then I could command you with my mental fish powers.
Hey, good morning, everyone. I'm back. I'm here. I'm still trying to get reset over here. You know, when I was talking to Adrian last night, he was like, he's been incredibly productive on the writing front, and I do too much stuff. And I really thought that by now I would have figured out what's working and what's not, and been able to do less stuff, because I really need to, because I am doing too much. I got to figure out what's working and what I can what I can double down on and what I need to stop doing, especially so I can do more writing. Because like when I was doing the Trial of St. Gabriel, and even writing the Tales of Rabavania World book, that's what I feel like I'm really supposed to get out of me. So we got to figure that out. So I'm going to be working on that, especially over the next few days. So let's see. But anyway, welcome to the office. Welcome to my home. Welcome to the morning grind. So it's so good to see everybody. Let's see. We've got lots of people here this morning. James. Good morning, James. We've got Andrew with us. Good morning. Phaser Wrist is here. Good morning. Good morning. That's Adrian in the chat. Good morning, Stray. James says, this should be very fun. I remember this magazine on the rack at Tower Records, wall-to-wall sound and video, and Blockbuster, etc. Yeah, so today our main topic is going to be this. This was sent to me by Doug, who's often on the Table Talk channel. So he's a regular there, of course. He's the one who was doing the Heroine's Labyrinth book. And of course, he's the one who writes about the Byzantine Empire. And he asked me if I remembered this magazine, Cinefantastique. And actually, I didn't. But does anybody else remember this? So James remembers this magazine. So I said I didn't. And he sent me this magazine. I just got it in, I believe it was yesterday, or maybe it was the day before, because we didn't have a morning grind yesterday. But it may have been the day before. And I said, well, this looks cool. So it's a collector's magazine. I'm gonna open it up and I'm gonna take a look at what's in it, because I mean that was the intention, to see what's in it. But I washed my hands, so everything's clean. I'm gonna make sure I don't spill coffee on it or anything like that. So we're gonna take a look at what's inside the Cinefantastique. It says it's actually a double issue. It's both Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan and Ridley Scott's Blade Runner. So does anybody remember whether or not this particular issue, but the Cinefantastique magazine brand? Let's see. Good morning, Robert. Good morning. Good morning, Jason. Good morning. And Sable's here. Sable's here. Yes, thank you. Do come by the Discord server. If you're not here, please do. Oh, Phaser Risk says, I've been busy with my unplayed Hero Quest expansions. I've been so busy, my unplayed Hero Quest expansions are crying right now. Yeah, I know. I did look up, since you had told me that some of the other ones are coming out. I mean, I guess I need to... I kind of put a moratorium on buying board games, since I've got so many that are going unplayed. So I've still got some that would be coming in from Kickstarter. And I wonder if I need to get these 2 Hero Quest expansions. They're putting out expansions far faster than I can play them. Especially since I'm thinking that we need to move toward more digital games anyway. Do I really need the digital versions of online games anyway? Digital versions of tabletop games. Do I really need more Hero Quest boxes around here? They are coming out with against the Ogre Horde. So that was also put in the news for the grind section of the Discord server. And well, that's probably going to be one that I'm going to have. So Against the Ogre Horde was a classic expansion that I never had. So I'm trying to figure out what to do with that. If I get them, we'll do an unboxing here on the grind. Robert says, I fixed the text wrapping for Zork 4. I think it's going pretty good. Trying to see what kind of code the GPTs can execute, and or if there's some way to sync my website. Still learning. Who's Doug? Andrew says, you work hard. You put up more videos than I can watch. Well, thank you, I think. Andrew says, I remember that magazine. Now, remember so Andrew remembers Cinefantastique. The reason I started the morning grind was because I was just sitting here alone in the house, and I became really extremely stagnated like this time last year. And I was trying to figure out what's wrong with me, or for several months last year through summer. And so about a year ago, actually, it's more than a year ago that I started the morning grind. I've been doing the morning grind for more than a year, just a little bit more than a year. I don't remember exactly what the anniversary date was. It's a little bit more over the year. So the intention was for the morning grind to be a 9:30 anchor in the morning where I have to be doing something. That's why I started. That's why I started the morning grind. And then lately, with Table Talk, that kind of became its own brand organically. I was like, well, we're having Table Talk on this channel, but then going over to Table Talk. Speaking of which, of course, spun that off into its own brand. And I think that's working well, because just because you like Table Talk doesn't necessarily mean that you want to be here with everything else we talk about in the morning grind in the morning. But speaking of Table Talk, last night, Adrian and I spoke on a lot of subjects. We covered a lot of ground last night, and that seems to be the way things are. Like an initial kind of conversation on Table Talk, we cover a lot of things going on. So he's the author of Stomping Kittens, and he's in the chat with us right now. So we spoke last night. We talked about storytelling, tragic heroes. We talked about The Matrix, Luke Skywalker. We talked about a little bit about biblical storytelling. We talked about a lot of things like that. So I'm going to put a link back over here. If you didn't see that, my talk on Table Talk. So please go over there, watch that. It was a fantastic conversation. Subscribe to that channel, if you will. And also be aware that now today Adrian is the author of the Right Club series. I mean, he's author of apparently a bunch of stuff, more stuff than I even knew. He talks about having written under several pen names. So there's several pen names that he writes all different kinds of stuff under, but he says that he puts his nonfiction material on how to write and then his main fantasy stories under his own names. But right now, the Right Club. So if you are, this is his series on how to write and plot, which of course we are big on right here. They are available free right now. He put them back free. He put them back free just for us. Since he was on Table Talk last night. So if you didn't get any of these books, Stomping Kittens we loved. Stomping Kittens, Punching Babies, Pen the Sword. All these are books on how to write and how to plot. Because what does Stomping Kittens mean? He means he's making plotting out your story as easy as Stomping Kittens or as easy as Punching Babies. Pen the Sword, On Writing Well, Steal This Story, the 10-day novel writing method for pantsers. All of those are available free right now. So I'm putting those in the chat right there. So download them. I even noticed, let's see. So yeah, so he's the author of the Kinslayer paperback fantasy novel. I want to check that one out because that's one's about Cain and Abel. So that one is part of the biblical storytelling. Oh, and I'll just put his author page. So he doesn't really use social media, not on social media right now, but you can follow his author's page. So you would know when more books are coming out. Thank you. Excuse me. And if you want a writing consultation from him, you can get that right here. So all kinds of stuff going on over there. Let's see. So Stray just put out. Okay, well, the cultists, yes. So the cultists right over here. If you want to hear more from Brianna, I've been putting out Brianna's director's commentary on the cultist channel. So I was asked, do I have like directors behind the scenes commentary, directors and producers commentary for the show? And yes, so if you like Brianna, if you like hearing what Brianna has to say on Table Talk, she actually has given director's commentary on the Cultists channel. It's like one for each episode. I've got the first 2 episodes commentary up right now. So if you want to know what it was like directing the Cultists, co-writing and directing the Cultists, and then I've got my producer's commentary as well up there. Check out the Cultists. James says this is a non sequitur, but I got to show Doug the Leonard Nimoy Bilbo Baggins song for the first time yesterday. He'd never heard of it. Oh, he never had seen that before? That's like what the internet is for. I remember that. That was like what the internet was for. Yes, the Monk comes out in January. Yeah, I think I have that one in my Amazon cart or something. That one might be more okay to get because it's not an entire new package. But then the Trial of St. Gabriel, I'm having some trouble getting this off the ground here. It seems like no matter what I do, there's some additional problem, and we got to run this before Christmas so we can get this story out before Christmas. But I was trying to work with the Theophany YouTube channel. Hey, Andrew always says there's nothing on the Theophany YouTube channel. Well, I was trying to put the trailer. So the first video on that would be the trailer for the Trial of St. Gabriel. And because that was a new channel, there were some problems doing actually what I wanted to do it with. And I was fighting with that yesterday afternoon. So now I got to figure out what else to do. So that's coming. That's coming. And I've got the proof incoming. Hopefully I got everything laid out right. This was the first time I had done a book in this style. It's not too difficult, but still was learning some things. So hopefully I got it all right. Hey, PH. And when it comes in, we'll take a look at that book and do a preview of it here on the Morning Grind. Andrew says it was good. The conversation we had last night, it was great. Normally not around that late, but it was great to have Andrew there last night. Please do hit the like. Yes, please do hit the like button to help us spread the word about what's going on right here. Hit the like button. That way this show will go out to more people who are subscribed and might be sitting around on YouTube right now and just don't know we're doing this. All right, so let me take all that down. Let's do our morning rituals, our morning sacraments. Let me open. What? Oh, iBooks. Everybody got their favorite drink this morning? We're going to be looking at The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield first, before we go to the Cinefantastique magazine. So everybody got your favorite beverage this morning? I do, right here. Well, I've got to show off the logo here. The Cultist Coffee logo. All right, so let's take 2 deep breaths, complete inhales, complete exhales, and then take a sip of your favorite beverage. It'll help you out. Everything will. Make the morning better. Here we go. And sip. All right. Good morning, Tomocrat. Good morning. Okay, so this is The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. Today, the artist and the hierarchy. For the artist to define himself hierarchical is fatal. Let's examine why. First, let's look at what happens in a hierarchical organization. An individual who defines himself by his place in a pecking order will 1. Compete against all others in the order, seeking to elevate his station by advancing those above him while defending his place against those beneath. 2. Evaluate his happiness, success, achievement by his rank in the hierarchy, feeling most satisfied when he's high and most miserable when he's low. 3. Act toward others based upon their rank in the hierarchy to the exclusion of all other factors. 4. Evaluate his every move solely by the effect it produces on others. He will act for others, dress for others, speak for others, think for others. But the artist cannot look to others to validate his efforts or his calling. If you don't believe me, ask Van Gogh, who produced masterpiece after masterpiece and never found a buyer in his whole life. The artist must operate territorially. He must do his work for its own sake. To labor in the arts for any reason other than love is prostitution. Recall the fate of Odysseus's men who slew the cattle of the sun. Their own witlessness cast them away, the fools, to destroy for meat the oxen of the most exalted sun, wherefore the sun god blotted out the day of their return. In the hierarchy, the artist faces outward. Meeting someone new, he asks himself, what can this person do for me? How can this person advance my standing? In the hierarchy, the artist looks up and looks down. The one place that he can't look is the place that he must, within. All right. Breathe and sip is the reason I get out of bed in the morning, Stray says. Does anybody have a great Roman Empire fact for us this morning? Does anybody have a great thing about the Roman Empire? I still need to make up some of those emojis, but that was a low priority thing. But the if anybody has a great fact about the Roman Empire, hey, let's put that in the chat. Okay, so today we're going to be taking a look at this magazine. So I'm going to put this magazine here in front of me. Turn on my auxiliary light and auxiliary camera. Oh. Okay. I do not want to spill anything on the on the magazine. Go auxiliary camera. How about that? Oh, Phaser Wrist says, I can't remember if the vomitoriums were Roman or Greek. I think that was Roman. The Romans with the vomitoria where you could eat and then throw up. I think that is Roman. Yes. Okay, that's a great fact think about the Roman vomitoria for a second today. That way we've all thought about the Roman Empire. Okay. this definitely seems like a blast from the past. When Doug was showing me one episode online, like using a video call. I mean, these are dense magazines. So the front here is a really great front for Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. That's a really great cover. So this says it was $7.95. $7.95. I'll come up with a date here. But then on the back, we do have Harrison Ford is the Blade Runner. Opens June 25th at a theater near you. So we got the Blade Runner on the back here. Tomocrat says, well, the plumbing scene from that Mel Brooks movie was my first go-to about the Romans. The maximum population of the Roman Empire is estimated to be between 55 and 60 million people. Interesting. Surprisingly small. So we're an empire so vast. Yeah, so Blade Runner is in this. Also featured Blade Runner full behind-the-scenes coverage. Coming next in Cinefantastique, King Romero Savini. I have a feeling that if I'd known about this magazine, I would have loved it. So, this is early. Earlier than I would have been reading the magazines. This is July and August. So episodes July and August 1982. 1982. Blade Runner and Star Trek II. It says, we've never had two cover stories before, mainly because our cover stories are so long and detailed. That's what Doug said was a really critical component of this magazine is that they were in-depth and detailed. Oh, I thought the vomitoria had something to do. What's the thing then when you eat and then you are supposed to vomit and then eat more? Is that a myth? Sable says vomitoriums were Roman and they weren't barf rooms. They were tunnels which allowed the peasants to enter an arena. They vomited forth from them because vomit just meant to expel. So is it an urban legend that they had a place where they could, or I actually thought that the vomitoria was a particular vessel that you were supposed to throw up in. Maybe I'm completely wrong on that. So it says, we've never had two cover stories, mainly because our cover stories are so long and detailed that we only have one space for one each issue. But we felt that Ridley Scott's Blade Runner and the new Star Trek movie, The Wrath of Khan, both deserved feature issue-length articles. Since the films are being released only a few weeks apart, featuring both on the cover of a double issue seemed only timely, practical solution. Paul M. Salmon, who provided our exclusive multi-issue coverage of the filming of Conan the Barbarian, has kept close tabs on the production of Blade Runner for the past 18 months. His article details how director Ridley Scott's collaboration with Master Effects Douglas Trumbull has resulted in the most convincing evocation of a future world ever filmed. Kay Anderson's article on Star Trek The Wrath of Khan, however, came together at the virtual last minute, with the movie itself only beginning principal photography last November, and that under a shroud of secrecy. Anderson wasn't permitted to access key creative people until filming wrapped in February. That made for a very harried 3 months of interviewing, writing, and editing, including a trip by Anderson up to ILM, the film's popular special effects supplier. Normally on such notice, and with Blade Runner already set up as the subject for a July and August issue, we wouldn't have gone to all the bother. But Star Trek is so special to me that a lot of fans who found among this weekly episodes some of the best science fiction ever filmed. Can you imagine taking 3 months to put that together? I mean, even 3 months, they're like, gee, man, we really had to put this together. It's kind of a different age. Like, how long does it take somebody to, speaking of, vomiting up things, like vomiting up a blog or something on, hey, we got the new Star Trek movie or something. How long does that take versus 3 months of research? So let's see over here. Possession. So this movie right here, I also see this. We also have Possession, a bizarre French love story with a slimy monster, Videodrome, Fire and Ice. Ralph Bashki shrugs off doubts surrounding his latest animated feature. You'll see Frazetta, I assure you. And Revenge of the Jedi. Oh, I forgot. Doug also said this. 48 is Revenge of the Jedi, an advanced peek on the latest chapter of the Star Wars saga by Ralph McQueenie. We'll have to take a look at that. Back when it was still called Revenge of the Jedi, right there. What I was noticing is that there's a lot of words in this, which is not something that you're used to seeing. You know, this is deep and dense here with lots of words. So Possession. What's big, blue, slimy, scary, sexy, French, Polish, and difficult to see in America? Andrzej Solowski's minor masterpiece featuring Carlo Rambaldi's latest creation. Videodrome. After screening a rough cut in Boston, Cronin discovers he must plug up its plot holes. I'm simply doing what any writer does, rewriting and reshaping my material until it's done. The only difference is that as a director, this usually private creation struggle is being performed in public. Makeup Oscar. Baker wins first award in new Academy category. Oh, beginning in the 1981 Oscars, the Academy of Motion Pictures, Arts, and Sciences created a separate Oscar award category for makeup effects. It's the first continuing category established since 1948. No, that's interesting. So that's the first time they had a makeup category. Poltergeist, right here. For makeup artist Craig Reardon, this blockbuster ghost story is his chance to become a household word. You may not know the name Craig Reardon, but chances are you've seen samples of this up-and-coming makeup artist's handiwork in such films as Prophecy, Funhouse, and Altered States, in which he assisted his mentor, Dick Smith. The 29-year-old artist is confident that his days of virtual anonymity were over on July 4th, when MGM United Artists released Poltergeist, the Steven Spielberg story of Ghost Story, in which Reardon created the special effects. Let me text Doug and just let him know we're doing this. I meant to do that, and I don't think I did. We are looking at the magazine now. Brainstorm, Firefox, Clint Eastwood's new summer film. I mean, look at this. Have we actually even seen many advertisements? I mean, no, we really haven't. I mean, this is also from a bygone age of magazines. When magazines are dense, actually had a lot of material in it. Well, here's one right here. Yes. The original soundtrack recording from the Paramount picture Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, on Atlantic Records and cassettes. But yeah, that's what I was thinking. So that is 1982. I was wondering what that year was, because when I saw $7.95, an $8 magazine, this is an expensive magazine, especially for 1982. So they apparently, I mean, their model, I suppose, then was we're going to do dense magazine issues, but that rather, we fund it by having a high price of the actual magazine cost. So yeah, that's $8. That's why I was wondering what the date was. So $8 in 1982. Phaser Rift says, I miss real special effects in movies so bad, LOL. Yeah. Dang, Ice, Fire, and Ice. Yeah, this is amazing. With the Revenge of the Jedi, we'll see what's inside, too. I hate you. Phaser Atomic Rat says, I hate Poltergeist. I can't wait to see that. I can't watch it because of that face rip. Sable says, yeah, the movie is handling completely different in themes of complexity and tone. You know, with the special effects thing, I heard, you know, that maybe that'll change. I heard behind the scenes that the practical special effects people were unionized, whereas the virtual effects people are not. So that's what made the virtual effects, the digital effects, cheaper. So you would always default to not using the union people. But if the digital special effects people unionize, I wonder which way people will go. So this is Fire and Ice. I don't know it. I don't know this one. You want to take a look at this one? Should we take a look at this one? We'll read a little bit in it and see what it's about. Tomocrat says, been watching RoboCop. What a great practical effects film. James says, I could do a whole YouTube channel on Cyberpunk. We'd start with Neuromancer, go through the rest of the sprawl. Neuromancer is somebody who shows up on this channel. Go through the rest of the sprawl and eventually branch out into movies, games, and other media. What an incredible genre. Robert says, inflation was double digits back then. Hey, there we go. There's Doug. Content-rich articles. Oh, this is fantastic info. So Andrew says, to contrast, in 1982, a Playboy magazine was $2.50 cover price. Oh, that's interesting. $2.50 versus $8. Wow. Yeah, they went through inflation back then as well. It peaked at 15% in 1980. Sable says, wow, Firefox 2. There's some classics and classics of schlock in this. Very few advertisements as well. Yeah, I was pointing that out. That's why the magazine appears to be so expensive. See if you can find it on eBay. Okay, Andrew says, you know, I dig Franzetta, but Fire and Ice left me cold, rimshot. Wanted to like it more. Well, let's just see what this magazine says. So it says, nearly 80% of the work on Fire and Ice, a new animated adventure by Ralph Bakshi, and fantasy illustrator Frank Franzetta has been completed. Technically speaking, Frank and I have finished the film, the weary but exuberant Bakshi reported from his Sun Valley studio. Franzetta had, but also, you know, this does say that it's a double issue, so I wonder if that's the case. That just going back to this does say special double issue, so I wonder if that's not standard price, the $8. I wonder if it's $8 because it is a double issue. So we'll have to check to see if other issues are like, maybe the other issues are like $4. They might still be more expensive, but this one might be more expensive because it's specifically a double issue. That could be the case. Basically, the animation portion is complete, said Bakshi, except for some retakes. The mechanical process of inking and painting, however, will require another 2 to 3 months of work. Scheduled for a Christmas release at the earliest, Bakshi is now talking with prospective distributors. Fire and Ice tells the story of a beautiful princess named Tigra and her powerful young barbarian Lauren, who encounters subhumans and prehistoric creatures on a savage but resplendent planet. Frazetta and Bakshi wrote of the story treatment at Frazetta's Pennsylvania farm in the summer of the 1980s. Marvel Comics' Roy Thomas and Jerry Conway then fashioned it into a screenplay, working carefully to preserve the spirit of Frazetta's sword and sorcery artwork. I hadn't ever heard of this, but I mean, Franzetta, that's the one who inspired all the He-Man art. This privately financed project, Frazetta's first, Bakshi's 10th, was a refreshing change of pace as well as a learning experience for both men. When Frank first walked in here, said Bakshi, I was terrified they would argue and not see eye to eye about the artistic end of the project. Film. My only other collaboration was with an artist was a disaster, but Frank understands every aspect of art. His adaptability to film was amazing. I didn't hire an artist so much as I hired a man's mind. We'd go back and forth, feeding each other ideas, and it's been good. It probably ruined. So it's been so good, it probably ruined me as far as working alone in the future. For Franzetta, the transition from canvas to celluloid was a natural progression. All of my life, I've been telling stories through my work, capturing emotion through sheer artistry. Franzetta explained. That talent lent itself to the film easily because it's action-oriented. In many respects, Fire and Ice is a must. It was the first. The whole approach is different from other animation films I've seen. The color is better, the action is slicker, more believable, brutal, but tasteful, like my paintings. It's got a certain feeling of sensuality. When it moves, there's fluidity to it. You might say it's a super comic book approach with an otherworld quality. Above, a volcanic castle, one of nearly 1,000 background paintings done for this film. Wow. 1,000 background paintings done for this film, which alone are worth the price of admission per Franzetta. Right. The film's heroine, Princess Tigra, on the lookout for danger in the swamp. Sable says, I mean, Bakshi's stuff is overrated in my opinion, but Fire and Ice is one of those things that strike a chord in spite of its lameness. Great Blade Runner in here too. Oh, Fraser Riff says, I have a great Franzetta tattoo, the Death Dealer baby. I was wondering, it's kind of difficult to see on screen since it's, smaller. But I was wondering what all of the tattoos were. Andrew says, I'm still buying those new Opus Franzetta comic books when I see them on the racks. I don't know why. Andrew says, I also still use the term on the racks, even though the stores don't put comics on racks anymore. I do have a spinner rack in my living room. Oh, fun. Fire and Ice is a classic example. I'm going to have to look up this movie. I don't know this movie. Focusing on the side character instead of the main character who should have been Dark Wolf. Okay, let's go on here. This one is, the making, let's just go in order here. So the making of Blade Runner is next. Okay, so we should definitely read this one. Greetings from, Ridleyville, Los Angeles, 2019 AD. The making of Blade Runner. So in a giant, empty, decaying building, which had once housed thousands, a single TV set hawked its wares to an uninhabited room. The ownerless ruins had, before the World War terminus, been tended and maintained. Here had been the suburbs of San Francisco, a short ride by monorail rapid transit. The entire peninsula had shattered like a bird tree with life and opinions and complaints. And now the watchful owners had neither died nor migrated to a colony world. And now the former owners had either died or migrated to a colony world. Mostly the former. It had been a costly war. From Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep by Philip K. Dick. It says, in Philip K. Dick's bleak vision of the near future, the world cities have become decaying hulks, but all but abandoned by those who have survived World War terminus in favor of off-world colonies. However, in 70mm and 6-track stereo, an empty city is just so much glass and concrete. So director Ridley Scott and a staff of designers created their own version of the near future. Dark, garish, crowded, and hectic. It's probably the most brilliantly and completely realized future society ever captured on film. The crew playfully dubbed it Ridleyville in honor of its father. While Ridley Scott drastically altered the specifics of the book's setting, the flavor of Dick's San Francisco has been remarkably preserved in Ridleyville. In both the novel and the film, critics are literally falling apart as the terminological infrastructure crumbles away. No, the cities, the critics. I was like, the cities are literally falling apart as technological infrastructure crumbles away. Dick called the resulting debris kibble. The crew of Blade Runner also called it retro trash. At press time, it was all too early to even guess at Blade Runner's critical reception. But at the very last, the film is a visual feast, a tribute to Scott, production designer Lawrence Paul, and effects director Douglas Trumbull, and the talented crews who worked with each other. I can't believe you had never heard that before, Doug. This is a massive article. Well, this magazine may end up being a multi-day series here on The Grind here. We'll just go through it and enjoy it. Dark Wolf was originally going to be a death dealer. I don't remember why they didn't or couldn't use him. That was going back to Fire and Ice. Doug says, I watched Blade Runner in 4K not long ago. The movie's better as if it were made for 4K. Oh. So often it seems like it's not that case. So it is the case here. At press time, it was still too early to even guess at Blade Runner's critical reception. But at the very least, the film is a visual feast, a tribute to Scott, production designer. Oh, we just said that. The film will also serve as a final tribute to the late Philip Dick, who died just weeks before a final print was completed. It was Dick's dystopian vision that started it all, of course. Sadly, it was a vision the author never had a chance to see recreated on film. This right here, this is a color rendering of the city circa 2019 by designer Sid Mead, inset posing with a futuristic parking meter. So I guess that's him right up there. The illustration features many elements recreated in the film's sets, including 2 of the vehicle designs, electronic traffic indicators far left, store displays that overhang the sidewalk, signs lettered in Japanese, and huge barley-shaped columns. The unusual X-shaped intersection is based on the huge New York street set on the back lot of the Burbank Studios. Right. Although Mead designed the parking meter, the shocking warning label was the work of illustrator Tom Southwell. Parking, 1 hour max, $3, 15 minutes. $6 for 30, $9 for 45, $12 for 6. Penalties, warning, danger. You can be killed by internal electrical system if this meter is tampered with. Okay. Sable says Blade Runner is a towering achievement of sci-fi film in general. It looks like it could have come out today. People were also talking about that even with like Star Trek, the Star Wars, the Return of the Jedi. How at the time they could make special effects that still stand up today. Tomocrat says Blade Runner is still felt today as any sci-fi dark film. I didn't care too much for Blade Runner when I first saw it, but it's gotten better and better over the years. I need to watch it again. I watched it, but for some reason, that's one of the movies that doesn't stick with me. So I'm just gonna have to watch that one again. We don't have that one on the table talk list. Philip K. Dick's novel "Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep" was definitely a child of its times. First published in 1968 during the very height of the Vietnam War, it detailed the adventures of Rick Deckard, a futuristic bounty hunter tracking down a cadre of murderous androids. At the further remove, the book was an impassioned examination of modern mankind's emotional sterility. It was written, the late author recalled, during a time when I thought we had become as bad as the enemy. Philip K. Dick was born in Chicago in 1928. He lived most of his life in California, holding down a variety of odd jobs, including a classical music disc jockey, while developing his writing career. Dick was nothing if not prolific. His first story, Beyond Lies the Wub, was published in Planet Stories in 1952. The next year, 28 stories appeared with the Dick byline, and in 1954 saw him publish an additional 28. Wow. He's writing like Adrian writes. It's not on the list. Yeah, it's not. In fact, I don't think it is. Let me go over here. Oh, wait. No, Blade Runner is on the main topic list. Blade Runner is on the main topic list. It's not one that has, it's not coming up soon, but it is on the main topic list. Robert says miniatures are greater than CGI. I love miniatures. Dick had cut back on short stories. He ultimately wrote 110 of them to author Solar Lottery, his first novel, which is still in print and which remains one of his best-selling titles. Dick was nearly as prolific when it came to novels. He wrote more than 40. From 1964 to 1969, for example, a period considered by many experts his finest literary stretch, no fewer than 16 books were published. Titles included Dr. Blood Money, or How We Got Along After the Bomb, Galactic Plot Healer, Clans of the Alpha Moon, and of course, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? Despite his productivity, Dick's output was far from hack work. The Man in the High Castle. The Man in the High Castle. So that one's now become the I don't know what streaming service that's on. But The Man in the High Castle is also his. A story of an alternate universe in which the Japanese and Germans won World War II and split America down the middle as booty, won the Hugo Award in 1972. Flow My Tears, the policeman said, garnered the John W. Campbell Memorial Award for Best Novel in 1974. No one quite wrote like Philip K. Dick. Although most of his stories were set in a world recognizably our own, his viewpoints was so skewed by existential observation and idiosyncratic insight that anyone sampled his work over any period of time found their perceptions of reality irrevocably altered. Not only was he devastatingly unique, he jogged his readership with gray cells as well. Readership's gray cells as well. Dick achieved his first great crossover success from the science fiction ghetto into the literary mainstream in the 1960s, with the counterculture enthusiastically embracing such works as Faith of Our Fathers, in which God is not dead, just insane, Ubik, and The Three Stigmata of Palmer Eldritch, although many believe the LSD novel, thought by many to be the LSD novel. But the drugs that were so much a part of counterculture movement had made inroads into Dick's habits. Although he had been virtually drug-free in recent years, his earlier experiments with LSD and reliance on large doses of amphetamines ultimately may have helped destroy his health and lead to his ultimate death. I took so much speed, Dick admitted, because I had to support myself by writing fiction. The only way I can do this was to write a lot of it. And Adrian's doing it without speed. Sable says, Philip K. Dick is one of the most adapted authors in all of film history. Ironically, most of the movies made from his works bear little resemblance to the original. Blade Runner, Total Recall is also his? Oh, whoa, I didn't know this. Blade Runner, Total Recall, Minority Report, In a Scanner Darkly, and many more. Whoa. Yeah, Doug says, yeah, I have a dream of writing a streaming series that follows Beatty and his rebellious crew from the rebellious crew from the edges of space to the human interior. Tomocrat says, the first Alien is a prime example of great use of practical effects. You felt you were on one of those space truckers, and every item on that ship had a use. Yeah, and Man in the High Castle. When I think Philip K. Dick, I always think Electric Sheep. James says, there are a couple of electro-industrial songs named after snips of that monologue. Attack Ships on Fire, Tears and Rain. Yep, Sable, I got to ship that. Excuse me, Stray. I realized last night, oh my God, your cup is sitting right over there, but I haven't shipped it yet. I'm sorry about that. So it'll go out very shortly. James says, Dick is prolific. He's an essential author for understanding sci-fi in general and cyberpunk specifically. Oh, interesting. Ubik is being optioned for a film currently. A Scanner Darkly is probably my favorite novel of his. Huh. Yeah, now everything's just a green screen. Okay. Dick, however, lived long enough to enjoy a measure of his success, lauded in Europe and the subject of numerous articles here in his own country, including a revealing, highly recommended Rolling Stone cover a few years ago. Dick was one of a handful of American science fiction writers to be highly praised by mainstream critics for his literary abilities, and one of the highest points of his career was Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? It's one of my favorite novels, Dick said, although it's essentially a dramatic novel. The moral and philosophical ambiguities of it dealt with are really very profound. The book stemmed from my basic interest in the problem of differentiating the authentic human being from the reflexive machine, which I call an android. In my mind, android is a metaphor for people who are psychologically human, but who behave in a non-human way. Dick first became interested in the problem while doing research for The Man in the High Castle, given access to original Gestapo documents at the closed stacks of the University of California, Berkeley. Dick discovered diaries by SS men stationed in Poland. One sentence in particular had a profound effect on the author. The sentence read, "We are kept awake at night by the cries of starving children." Dick explained, "There was obviously something wrong with the man who wrote that. I later realized that with the Nazis, that what we were essentially dealing with was a defective group mind, A mind so emotionally defective that the word human could not be applied to them. Oh, that's interesting. I'm going to read that again. So he says, the sentence that had disturbed him about in the SS men's diary said, the sentence read, "We are kept awake at night by the cries of starving children." Dick explained, there was so obviously something wrong with the man who wrote that. I later realized that with the Nazis, what we were essentially dealing with was a defective group mind, a mind so emotionally defective that the word human could not be applied to them. Interesting. Worse, Dick continued, I felt this was not necessarily a solely German trait. This deficiency had been exported to the world after World War II and could be picked up by people anywhere at any time. I wrote Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep during the Vietnam War. At that time, I was revolutionary and existential enough to believe that those android personalities were so lethal, so dangerous to human beings, that I ultimately might become necessary to fight them. The problem in killing them would become, would we not believe like the androids in our very last, would we not become like the androids in our very last effort to wipe them out? Enter Hollywood. Huh. Is the movie Soldier technically in the Blade Runner universe? I don't know that one. But didn't we come up with the idea someplace that Alien and Blade Runner are in the same universe? Tomocrat says, I recall seeing shots of Revenge of the Sith that was like 90% green mats. Wait, what's that? Voight Kampf test? Oh, that's in Blade Runner. I told you that Blade Runner, for some reason, has not stuck with me, so I'm going to have to do that one again. Yes, Doug confirms Alien and Soldier are in the same universe as Blade Runner. Yeah. You're in the same universe. Okay, so enter Hollywood. How much time have we got here? We got a little while. Enter Hollywood. In 1969, struck by the novel's visual and moral landscape, director Martin Scorsese and critic Jay Cox showed interest in transforming the book into celluloid, although the book was never formally optioned. In 1974, however, Dick was approached by the man who, 6 years later, would become the prime mover and shaker behind the book's eventual film adaptation, Hampton Fancher. Born in 1938, ex-husband of actress Sue Leon, Lolita, and a former actor himself with 20 feature films and over 100 TV credits, including The Burning Girl and One Step Beyond, Fancher had been writing scripts since he was a teenager. He had also made a series of 8mm and 16mm films, culminating in a prize-winning 35mm short, Beach Parking. But Fancher was not a big science fiction buff. In fact, he'd only read 2 novels of the genre, Alfred Bester's The Star of My Destination and Dick's Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep. When I read Dick's novel, Star Wars wasn't even a gleam in George Lucas's eye, Fancher said. But at the same time, there was a smell of science fiction in Hollywood. After I'd finished Phil's book, I realized if there was ever going to be a serious film of this trend, I had just read the source material. So with a few dollars I had left in my pocket at the time, I took a stab at optioning the book. So there's a pull quote from Philip K. Dick here that we just read. I was revolutionary and existential enough to believe that these android personalities were so lethal, so dangerous to human beings, that it ultimately might become necessary to fight them. However, Fancher couldn't seem to locate Dick. No one, not even Dick's literary agent, seemed to know where to locate him. Fortunately, a chance encounter with Ray Bradbury, who happened to be carrying an address book with Dick's phone number in it, brought Fancher and the author together. Their first meeting was amiable, as were their subsequent encounters. Yet in the process, Fancher realized that his dream of optioning Dick's novel had become sidetracked. Although we got along very well, I had the feeling that Phil thought I was some sort of Hollywood hustler, Fancher explained. I got the impression that Dick was not only reluctant to get involved, but also increasingly reluctant to have that particular book done as a film. I don't think Hampton realized I was as naive about Hollywood as he was, Dick later recalled. I don't think he even understood that when it came to Hollywood, I cringed. I had an automatic flinch reaction. Putting it on an anthropological basis, I represent the tribe of novelists and short story writers, while Hollywood represents the tribe that makes movies. I looked at their tribe, and their custom completely baffles me. I'm sure they looked on at me with the same confusion. Discouraged, Francher decided to abandon the project. What the ex-actor had not known was that the book had already been optioned by Herb Jaff Associates. Robert Jaff would in fact be the first person to actually write a screenplay of that novel, a scenario that Dick loathed. He took the novel and turned it into a comedy spoof, something along the lines of Get Smart, Dick said. He even wrote it under a pen name. It was so terribly done, I couldn't believe it was a shooting script. Perhaps realizing this approach was hardly appropriate, Jaff Associates let the book option drop in 1977. This is, so much information about this. This is much more than you ever get on a blog post. Somebody who actually does some research into something they're writing. Robert says another element of Blade Runner's visual appeal was Scott's use of bluish tint on the film, first of its kind, I believe. Oh, really? So that's interesting because they did color grading. I want to say that I heard that Oh Brother, Where Art Thou was the first time they had done color grading digitally, but that does not mean they're the first time they're trying to color grade something. So, but this may have been the first time that they tried to do something like that with the film stock. Doug says we have to do a table talk on Blade Runner. So much to talk about there, especially with all the different endings and versions. Oh, yeah. It has been several different versions these things come out. When I go watch it again, I'll watch the original version. If that's the one I'm supposed to watch. So Sable says, so it's interesting to me how the film transposed the androids to being the human ones. There's a reference to Tannhauser Gate in The Soldier. I foresee another multi-day table talk with Blade Runner. Ugh, it should only take 20 hours. Oh, no. Good morning, BGD. Yeah, please do hit the like button. If you're here, please do hit the like button on the stream. So let's see. The prospect of turning Dick's novel into a motion picture seemed doomed. Then suddenly, in 1978, Francher found himself back in the picture. I was about to go on a long trip when I ran into an actor friend of mine, Brian Kelly, who had ambitions of becoming a producer. Remembering my experience with Dick, I told him, why don't you go try optioning this Philip K. Dick book? Encouraged, Kelly proceeded to do just that. He took the novel and to producer Michael Dealey, a man who had cut his cinematic teeth editing the old British-made Robin Hood television series, before moving on to head EMI, an Oscar-winning producer of such films, The Deer Hunter. The first time Kelly approached him, Dealey said no thanks because he felt Dick's complex relationship would not so easily Dick's complex concepts would not easily translate to film. However, Francher and Kelly tried again. Francher wrote an 8-page treatment, which so impressed Dealey that he encouraged the two to come up with a working screenplay. I hadn't ever intended to write the screenplay myself, Francher explained, but my girlfriend at the time convinced me that this was my only way to get the project off the ground. It took me nearly a year to write, but when I was finished, Kelly took the script back to Dealey, and he loved it. So this down here says, downtown L.A. In 2019, below is a dirty, crowded mob scene is conceptualized by director Ridley Scott, production designer Lawrence Paul, and illustrator Sid Mead. It's also wet thanks to the constant acid rain, which accounts for the umbrellas. Inset, Scott positions 2 of the punkish extras. Oh, what the best dressed folks wear in 2019. Oh, look at that. Cast and credits. So it puts the entire cast and credits in the magazine here. I guess how else would you get them? they're going to be on the movie, of course. But if you need to reference them, well, of course, put that in here. It's more from David Peoples and the writer who also co-wrote Blade Runner. So it's technically not from Scott. That was my understanding, too. There's more about the film universes, not necessarily the story universes, the novel universes. Andrew says, I used to watch the adaptations, but after Screamer and Paycheck, I was done. Paycheck describes the apparent motivation of all involved in making the film. Huh. Let's see. Let's see how long this is. We've been going for an hour, and there are things to do today. Oh yeah, this is a big man. This is this is a deep article on this. We've got the designs over here on the blimp. Man, that would be so much fun. Here's talking about miniatures. I would love that. See, that's what I tried to do. That's why I like getting out to the workshop, because you actually get to make something. But like I said, everything gets here at the computer more. But man, that would be one of the jobs I would love. Would be miniature making and modeling out there. The physical side of the filmmaking, I would love that. Man, this is a massive article. Okay, so we might end up having to pick and choose from it next time. But listen, what else have we got in here? Oh, see, look at that again. Making that the cityscape right here and painting it up. Man, that would be so much fun. Harrison Ford says, what I've done in Raiders of the Lost Ark and Blade Runner is physical acting. Stunts or falling off a tall building or crashing into a car. Something you're silly enough to think isn't going to hurt the next day. We were so frantic to get more buildings into the cityscape that we grabbed Bill George's model of the Millennium Falcon, bristled it with etched brass, and plopped it into different shots. Instant buildings. So the Millennium Falcon is in there someplace? All right, we're going to definitely have to take a look at this. So we have an article in here on Revenge of the Jedi. Oh, that's going to be fun. Oh, it's just a quick blurb. We'll have to look at that tomorrow. But yeah, we definitely got to look at Revenge of the Jedi. How cool is that? And then Star Trek, The Wrath of Khan. How the TV series became a hit movie at last. All right. We're definitely going to have to look at that. Oh, look, it's the creature. Maybe they'll talk about that. The Seti eel, one of the only remaining indigenous form of life on planet Ceti Alpha 5. Well, this is fun. Thank you so much for this, Doug. I'm going to put it back in its case right over here. So we will continue with this tomorrow. Oh, let's see. Stray, thank you very much. $10 super chat from Stray, says care package. Thank you so much, Stray. I really appreciate it. Stray, you're extremely generous. All right, there we go. So that was back in its protective covering. We will continue to look at it tomorrow. Doug says, isn't that an incredible magazine? It absolutely is. Thank you so much for sending it. That's true. That's true. Magazines, things just used to be better, right? Some things did used to be better. Magazines used to be better. I mean, if there are even magazines anymore. Magazines used to be better. So much depth. It's almost book worthy in its scope and depth. It is. Let's see. James says, magazines in general are fantastic. I say this as a former managing editor of Game Fan magazine. I love print media. BGD says, no matter how advanced virtual tabletops and online experiences get, you still have to make crafts for the actual tabletop by hand and run games in person, just to remind you of what real RPGs are like. So some tiny company named Fourth Castle owns Cinefantastique now, and all these photos are in a drawer someplace. Wow. All right. Well, we've got to apply our lessons from the War of Art and actually get productive. So I've got to do that too. Got to think about what my situation is. Get realigned right here and make stuff happen. So you do that too. Everybody go forth, be creative, be constructive, and grind on. I'll see you tomorrow. Later.